Esteemed members of the Korvax Energy Institute, my name is Apprentice Engineer Yundal Hepet, and I believe I have made a breakthrough in energy generation that will echo throughout history. My fellow scientists and I were tasked with assembling a reactor on a newly discovered paradise planet, but when we arrived, we discovered the planet had been taken over by strange pulsing growths. I am including an overview of our facility with this message. I humbly beg you to help me find a planet to fully test this new design, someplace wholly inhospitable. I am eagerly awaiting your response, your humble servant, Yundal Hepet. I have supervised construction of my prototype here on the planet Tenseha in the Hegator 1 system. This planet was a barren wasteland when we arrived, and as you can see, the terraformer has already started to have an impact. Once we take it to full power tomorrow, we will be able to terraform this planet 3 times faster than any previous terraforming attempt. Let me give you a tour of the reactor, and then we can visit the laboratory. It's so very strange that what once was my favorite view of the entire installation is now a window into the price of my hubris. It feels more like 3 months since we brought the reactor online instead of 3 mere days. When the reactor reached full power, it allowed the void items to create a semi-sentient hive mind. It took us precious minutes to figure out what had happened, and by that point we had been locked out of the system, and the void items started terraforming the planet to their liking. These storms have made radio communication nearly impossible, but I am sending out this message in the hope that someone finds it. If you do, please, I implore you, come to our aid, for we need help desperately. Hi, Gek Toradon. This is Toilgek Rolf, and I'm calling from the Cube, and you need to get down here right away. Something's happened. I'm sending some footage now, and I told them not to build on an infested planet, and it got infested. Look!
Date stamp 1693.6. Viking at Arms Goryul, reporting from the planet Okender Minor. Our first step was to construct landing pads to the new specifications. Once this was done, I had covered walkways constructed that ran from the pads to the entirety of the reef circumference. Our final, just finished project was a garage for the 3 exocraft we had brought with us. Most of the water around the atoll was very shallow, so we had to extend a walkway a fair distance to get to slightly deeper water. So we used power doors to make garage doors for both the mech and the hover tank, with a submarine bay for the Nautilon. We have set up a couple ancillary research and record-keeping stations in the garage as well. We are now finally set up to start sending you data dumps of our research. First data dump is attached to this message. I will report back weekly on our progress. Date stamp 1694.3. The past week has been uneventful, until today, of course. Several scientists and a mechanic took out the backup Nautilon to search the ocean floor in an attempt to find a deep enough trench to build a good-sized underwater farm. This was 12 hours ago. I'm going to take out the main Nautilon and follow their directional markers and see if I can determine what happened to them. Here is the 3rd marker. Now, where is that crevice? There it is, heading in. Tight quarters in here. The first 2 tunnels I check both dead end quickly. So I head down the third and final tunnel. Looks to be another dead end. Wait a minute. By the blood of Herc! Look at how these caverns open up! Hold on. What's that ahead? What in the name of Herc am I looking at? I'll leave my Nautilon back a bit and continue on in my exosuit. It's pulsing like a heartbeat. What can it be? Huh, there's the backup Nautilon. But it's empty. No sign of my missing crew members. I've got to get out of here and warn the others. We need to figure out what this is and what it is doing here. I'm afraid of the answers we're going to find. The minute you get this, send reinforcements immediately.
Esteemed members of the Colonization Council, my name is Caldazares, the chief architect for the colonists aboard the ship Agawan. It is my sad duty to report to you that the ship suffered a catastrophic warp drive failure. The resultant crash completely destroyed the bridge. Fortunately, most of the cryopod chambers survived the crash. The other colonists have elected me the new leader. I am happy to report that the colony is starting to take shape. After the reactor came online, I had the colonists build exocraft hangars. Today I decided to explore the water around our colony with a couple xenobotanists and see if there is any indigent plants we can add to our cultivation center. Wait, what's that down the tunnel? By the Atlas, it's a structure! Are we not the first species to inhabit this location? The building has partially collapsed, but it looks like we can enter from the front. My name is Elisanda. Until 2 days ago, I was the head scout of the colony. About a week ago, Leader Caldazares and several others decided to explore the waters around the colony. When they were still gone the next morning, I started searching for them. After searching for most of the day, I found a building underwater. Inside the wrecked building, I found beds with growths around the head of the bed, pulsing in a very creepy way. To my horror, one of the beds in the back had a colonist in it. They wouldn't wake up no matter how hard I shook them. I swam up the stairs and found Leader Caldazares and the others also unconscious in the beds again, not waking up no matter how hard I shook them. I guessed I could carry each one back to the colony, but when I removed the first colonist, they began twitching and shaking like crazy and was dead within minutes. It was nearly nighttime and there was no way I was going to stay in that creepy underwater building in the dark, so I went back to the colony to tell the others what had happened. I'll be damned if in the next morning, Leader Caldazares and the others returned to the colony. We decided to allow them to stay. The others picked me to be the new leader. This were 2 days ago, and as the sun fell, Caldazares and the others began to go back to that underwater ruin. Me and a few others tried to convince them to stay with the colony, accidentally getting twixt them in the water. This was the only time they showed aggression, attacking us like wild animals, but they stopped once we moved and let them go back to the ruin. The barracks are now finished, the entrance secured with a power door that's operated from the inside. I'll try to get another report to you within a week or so. After completing the cultivation center and mess hall, I thought everyone could use some fun, so we built ourselves a beach party spot. Hopefully, this will lead the colonists and possessed to work closer in the future. We also finished building the crane. I am very proud of all the surviving colonists. We cheated death, survived a terrible landing, and made ourselves a great home on a beautiful, lush world. Respectfully, Leader Elisan. This is Captain Decree of the colony ship Muander Mog. I am sending this message with the tightest encryption and via the fastest courier available. I am not entirely sure if all this caution is warranted, but I have never encountered a more perplexing conundrum than the one that confronted me on my arrival at the colony on the planet named Wendworld. We began standard contact protocols upon dropping out of warp, but received no response during our approach to the planet. The complete silence was unexpected, so I decided to accompany the initial landing party down to the site of the Nakata's crash and colony founding, so I was prepared for the site of the wrecked Nakata and the structures around it. What I was completely unprepared for was the total and complete lack of any actual colonists. We landed at the landing pads and made a complete sweep through the whole colony, not a soul to be found. There were no signs of struggle or flight. The mess hall still had plates with food on them. The crane appeared to have been abandoned in mid-operation. I then had the sickening thought that maybe they had all been possessed, so I ordered an armed reconnaissance of the underwater ruin that reportedly held the beds. We found the beds just as they were described, but they were all unoccupied. Still no sign of the colonists. In the morning, I plan on starting search parties running in concentric rings outward from the wreck. I will continue to update you with anything I find, but thought you should know about the colonist's disappearance as soon as possible. Like I mentioned, I don't know if this presents an immediate unknown danger, or if it's going to turn out to be a silly mistake in directions, but I wanted to err on the side of caution and send you the information as fast as possible. Look for daily updates from me from here on out.
Master Hepet, Ralph reporting. I have finally found the evidence to confirm what we have feared for years, but I am afraid its price will be my life. Vakinid Arms Traskelcha and myself traced an anomalous signal through the breadth of Buldanger Galaxy, finally isolating it in a system near the galaxy core. Upon our arrival in the system, our instruments showed the signal to be coming from an airless moon. As we got closer to the signal, our blood turned to ice in our veins as we beheld a ship of behemoth dimensions hanging over an abandoned building. As we got closer, the ground rippled like water and more biological horrors than I had ever seen poured out. Traskelcha fought valiantly, but was eventually overwhelmed. His sacrifice allowed me to reach the relative safety of the building, where I discovered beds similar to those we had discovered at the vanished colony you sent us to a few months previously. I waited until the horrors had retreated back underground, and then hurried back to our ship. As I ran, I couldn't help but look back at the monstrosities suspended in the sky. Void growths were bursting out of every side, while some type of weapon lined every seam, oriented to cover both adjacent sides. On the underside of the behemoth were what had to be anti-gravity engines, but not like any I'd ever seen before. There was a single landing pad on the underside, occupied by a living ship. I got back to my ship and launched, intending to return to your laboratory with my discovery, but as I took off, I noticed the living ship that had previously occupied the sole landing pad on the behemoth had left. To my everlasting regret, I made a snap decision and turned back to land on the behemoth. After landing, I got out of my ship to look for an entrance to the vessel. Imagine my surprise when I was actually inside the behemoth upon exiting my ship. What greeted me was one of the most horrifying views I had ever witnessed. Apart from the central tower, which glowed with an unseen light, there were multiple computer stations of unknown design. Every station had void growths intertwined with it in very disturbing ways. One of the stations even appeared to be gestating new biological horror. As I passed by a station with large monitors, my mind reeled from a mental attack the like of which I had never experienced before, and I lost consciousness. I do not know how long I lay unconscious on the behemoth, but when I came to, the living ship was back, flying lazy circles around the outside of the behemoth. Somehow, it knows I am alone here, and will attack me the second I try to leave with knowledge of my discovery. I am placing this recording in an emergency communication beacon, which I will launch the moment I am clear of the structure. Hopefully the living ship will be preoccupied with my destruction and won't notice the beacon's launch. It has been my honor to assist you in your quest, Honored Master.